$100 in free bets when you use promo code Farzy to turn $1 into $100 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, present in Pennsylvania. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We're always telling you about our good friends at Zatos Investments. Zatos Investments is an up-and-coming luxury real estate and development investment company in the Philadelphia area. They design and develop top-of-the-line custom homes all around the city, ranging from small single-family rehabs to ground-up new construction townhomes and condo buildings. Zatos also works closely with the private investor base to provide them with substantial returns on their investment, ranging from 20 to 40%. These guys are killing it in the Philadelphia real estate game right now. They'll learn how you can invest with Zatos. Reach out to them at info@zatosinvestments.com or simply visit ZatosInvestments.com. Was driving through, saw the place, just beautiful. Every time I go there, it's awesome. I was driving through Maryland over the weekend. My wife's family had some stuff going on there just south of Baltimore. Steak and Maine, fine dining in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you dine in a more upscale steakhouse or casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy some of the highest quality prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that, one spot, Steak and Maine. You got it all. All that, and how about this? An extensive wine list. They even have their own wine with Cavada Cellars wine. So make sure you get a nice bottle of that. Pair it with something nice that you're getting there at Steak and Maine. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in Northeast Maryland, voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself. Go to steakandmaine.com for more information. We'll look at the comments now in our social media check-in brought to you by our friends at Steak and Maine. So many great comments from you guys. You guys are on top of your game when it comes to what you guys were kicking around today. Just awesome. I think a lot of you found it interesting what Jack McCaffery set up. I did not kidnap Jack McCaffery. And I know you guys are saying I did. I did not. That's just the way the camera went. All right. A lot of people talking about Ben Simmons' jump shot, rightfully so. I can't believe we argue about this. Like, I can't believe someone just mildly saying, hey, Ben Simmons should really shoot jump shots. Yes. That should be the response. It shouldn't be blah, 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 blah. People losing their minds. Joel Embiid said it. Like, if I'm willing to put the rest, any discussion, and I know Jack's not on my side here, but if I'm willing to put aside the conversation of whether or not Ben Simmons deserves to have made 3 All-Star games, and he has, if I'm willing to put that aside, why can't people put aside the fake take of a jump shot isn't important for a guard in the NBA? And don't even give me that he's a point forward, he's not a guard. If he's a point anything, he's a guard. Like, he plays the guard position. I don't care if it's sporadically. I don't care if it's not a technical point guard in the traditional sense. If he's bringing the ball up and he's doing it as often as Ben Simmons is, he should have a jump shot. That helps spread the floor. It helps spread the offense. So I appreciate everyone being able to check in here on social media. I just lost I can't read the comments word for word. They just disappeared or something. That ain't cool. Well, just know that I see you, and I mostly saw yous making fun of Jack McCaffery's setup. That's my man, Jack McCaffery. But as far as this Ben Simmons comments goes, I saw a lot of you guys commenting on that. I also saw a lot of you guys commenting on the Philadelphia Flyers, and you guys didn't expect much after the first month of the season from them. And I get it. They started out hot, and then the wheels fell off rather quickly. And other people saying that they don't really care about Alec Boehm touching the plate or not because he was called safe, and that's all that matters, as Alec Boehm told us himself. So thanks to everyone that checked in there and our social media check-in. Always nice to hear from everybody here on a fine, fine Monday. Let's jump ahead to our Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Morning Rush, let's take it to the Masters. Augusta, a tradition unlike any other. Hideki Matsuyama won the Masters. Congratulations to him. Played outstanding. Saw his caddy give the bow, which was just incredible. Beautiful moment there at the Masters. Saw some people, Dustin Johnson, obviously, not so good. Rory McIlroy, not so good. If the highlight of the match for you, if the highlight of the Masters for you is hitting your dad in the calf, He didn't have a good Masters. So it wasn't so good there. But other things that happened at the Masters, well, let's just put it this way. If Happy Gilmore is part of the headlines at the Masters, it's a good day. Take a look at this. Adam Sandler looking at Will Zalatoris, who was obviously competing in the Masters, played very well at the Masters. He thought that he looked like his caddy. Adam Sandler thought he looked like his caddy in Happy Gilmore. If you remember, it's the scene where Happy Gilmore is trying to qualify for the tour, and his caddy that he's assigned, that's assigned to him, looks rather odd. You can see a resemblance here, and Will Zalatoris embraced it because he put this out on social media, put this out on Twitter. If you ever need a caddy again, you can always call me. I'm always available for you there, Mr. Gilmore. You love seeing a guy embrace it like that. That's fun. Happy Gilmore. I know it's goofy, but it is one of my all-time favorite sports movies. It's just so out there, and it's fun. It's hilarious. And Julie Bowen, what's happening? I watch Modern Family now. The wife and I, we very much enjoy Modern Family. I know I'm late to that party, but it's a phenomenal show. Anyway, good to see the guys having fun on social media with that. Do want to give you some NBA scores. We talked about how the Sixers have the Bucks coming up here in a week or so when it comes to 2 games in a row, both in Milwaukee against the Bucks. Bucks just manhandled the Magic 124-87. The Knicks, they got another win. They're back at 500 now, 102-96 win over the Raptors. Spurs beat the Mavericks last night in a battle of Texas. So now the Sixers get the Mavericks tonight. So the Mavericks are coming off a back-to-back. They lost to the Spurs 119-117. Memphis Grizzlies hit a bit of a snag here. Pacers beat them last night 132-125. Those are some of the scores of note throughout the NBA. Celtics, they were able to beat the Nuggets. They're now 2 games over 500, 105-87. But interesting that now the Sixers are catching the Mavericks off a back-to-back. I like the Sixers tonight. We'll get into more specifics in that in just a second. But to go back to the basketball conversation, I know this is something that a lot of people are going to bang their heads against the wall, but they blew out OKC Saturday night. You didn't have Danny Green in the lineup. He was nursing an injury. I believe it was his hip. You didn't have Tobias Harris in the lineup. He was nursing an injury, his knee. I'm looking forward to seeing these guys get back on the court altogether, of course, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do against a team like the Mavericks, who are a very good basketball team, before they take on a team that is their number one opponent. They're their public enemy number one right now in the NBA's Eastern Conference, and that's obviously the Nets. What's going to be interesting about this game tonight, and the Sixers, by the way, we'll get into it more in big bets, but the Sixers go into the game tonight at -3. This is a game that you do worry about looking ahead to the next opponent, because with the Sixers staring down the Nets on Wednesday night, it's the last time. They just wrapped up their series with the Celtics. They obviously swept that series. They've split so far with the Brooklyn Nets. They have this game coming up here against the Nets that is, I believe, going to be in South Philadelphia. Sixers are home for this game. I don't want the Sixers to look ahead to that game. This is a game they have to concentrate on beating the Mavericks. They have off a day, and then they go back to action on Wednesday night to take on the Nets. The Nets, Kyrie Irving just missed a game due to personal reasons again. So the Nets have things they still have to work out, of course. But I don't want the Sixers to look ahead of the Dallas Mavericks and be staring down the barrel at the Nets. This is the biggest game of the year for the Sixers coming up on Wednesday, so it's going to be very difficult to not look past this Mavericks game. Sixers, after they lost to the Pelicans, I felt like you knew they were going to beat the Thunder. Obviously, Doc Rivers knew they were going to beat the Thunder, which is why he gave 2 of his starters the night off, which is why you had Furkan Korkmaz, which is why you had Matisse Thybulle back in the starting lineup. So it's going to be wild to see how this game plays out just tonight against the Mavericks and how Doc Rivers makes them focus on this game, the game that's ahead of them, and not looking down the line to what could happen on Wednesday when they take on the Nets. I'm hoping that doesn't settle in. I'm hoping that they can settle in tonight and beat the Mavericks and then go in with a full head of steam going up against the Nets. But I'm going to be having my fingers crossed for this game coming up tonight because it's an easy game to not concentrate on. This is where Doc Rivers coaching comes into play. Make sure they're focused. Make sure they're ready to go. You might be resting some guys again tonight. Hopefully that's not the case because, again, I want everyone going into Wednesday with a full head of steam. But they wrap up their series with the Brooklyn Nets on Wednesday night. I'm even looking ahead to it, but I'll have the game on, obviously, tonight at 7:30, watching the Sixers hopefully take care of business. So it's going to be wild to see how all that unfolds. Going back, NHL trade deadline today. To touch on the Flyers one more time, I did see our friends at Nasty Knuckles tell me to just skip the Flyers today. Don't even need to worry about the Flyers today. I can't help it because everything has gone wrong for this Flyers team other than injury. I mean, if you think about it, the injury bug has not been bad to the Flyers this year. And you usually would think in a season as bad as it's been here in Philadelphia with the Flyers, that there had been somebody, they're missing this guy with injury. Claude Giroux's been out. Sean Couturier has missed a whole bunch of games. Like, you would think that would be a big reason, but it hasn't. Guys have been healthy. Guys that you were going to rely on this year have been healthy and underperformed. Travis Konechny is a good example of that. Underperformed up until recently. James Van Riemsdyk, great start to the season, not so much lately. Jake Voracek has been healthy out there. Hasn't played well at all this entire year. And then the most obvious thing is on defense. You're not looking at guys getting hurt. You're looking at guys, like we mentioned earlier, Shane Gostisbehere get placed on waivers at one point so they could taxi squad him. You've looked at your netminders. They've been healthy. They just haven't played well. Carter Hart hasn't been hurt. He's been bad. Defense as a whole has been bad. We talked about it on Friday with Riley Cote. The forwards defensively have been bad, and defensemen have been bad. But you haven't looked at one guy and been like, that guy's missed a lot of time, so there you go. Of course the Flyers have struggled. That hasn't been the case. Guys that you were supposed to rely on came up very small throughout the season. Guys that you were supposed to rely on were healthy and playing. And they haven't really had a lot of they haven't really borne fruit so far this season. And now we're looking at the last month of the NHL year, and we're thinking about what could have been. And now is the day where Chuck Fletcher tries to turn something, towards the future. Whether he can trade guys like Jake Voracek, whether he can trade guys like James Van Riemsdyk to see what he could get in return for picks, defensemen, maybe young defensemen. Chuck Fletcher's going to try to basically turn something into nothing as the trade deadline approaches today. So we'll be following that as the day goes on. Let's get into our big bets segment brought to you by DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook. I just gave you my spiel on the 76ers and what could go on there for them tonight. I don't see. I don't see the Sixers looking past the Mavericks. They're going into tonight as a -3. They're a 3-point favorite going up against the Mavericks. I like the Sixers winning this game tonight, and I like the Sixers covering in this game tonight. The main reason for that is two reasons. It's Joel Embiid. It's really one, but two players go into it, and it's Joel Embiid's criticism of Ben Simmons. I think with Doc Rivers being here, Ben Simmons obviously listens to him, and Ben Simmons is obviously motivated by him. And when Ben Simmons has been asked throughout the year about the difference between this year's team and last year's team, the first thing he points out is Doc Rivers and holding people accountable. I think it's time where Ben Simmons has more than one person holding him accountable. And I don't mean just Ben Simmons holding himself accountable. I mean Doc Rivers, and I also mean Joel Embiid. When it gets said publicly the way it was said by Joel Embiid that Ben has to shoot, I think that has to shake something up in Ben Simmons. And if you are going to not have Tobias Harris tonight, if you are not going to have Seth Curry tonight, Danny Green tonight, then Ben Simmons has to step up and be a scorer. You saw Ben in the first quarter against the Thunder be a lot more aggressive. 10 points, got rebounds, got assists, pretty much did it all for you. And this is what's so frustrating about Ben's game. That version of him is always there, and we've talked about this so many times. So going into a game like tonight where you might be missing some of that offensive firepower, you have to be able to rely on Ben to get you points. Not set up other people for points, but get points for himself so he himself becomes that scoring threat. And if you're going to see two opportunities, and it's crazy to look at a shot chart from Ben Simmons after a game like against OKC and actually see the circles away from the basket, more than 6 feet away from the basket. And you see two of those little dots pop up for Ben against OKC. It's there for him. And that's all we're talking about. The baby hooks, the little jumpers, they don't even need to be there anymore. They just need to expand, take a couple of steps away from the basket and make shots like that. And that's how you will stretch the floor. That's how you will expand the offense, and that's how you'll be able to create that spacing for guys like Joel Embiid down low every single possession. We talk about it all the time with Giannis Antetokounmpo shooting threes. Guys will let him shoot that because they know he'll shoot it at a low percentage. But that mid-range game, they'll come out and guard him, and that's where you'll see a lot of pump fakes from Giannis, going to the basket and being able to throw it down. Ben can create that space for himself by being able to shoot those jump shots. So bottom line, big bets. Something else I want to get to real quick in this segment as well. But bottom line, big bets. I like the Sixers -3 tonight going up against the Mavericks. Ben Simmons is a big part of that. Something else I want to get into. We opened the show by talking about all things Alec Boehm, not touching the plate last night, but who cares? Phillies won 7-6 over the Braves. They don't get swept. Awesome. How would you have liked to have bet that game last night? For instance, betting the Braves, and you see they win the game on a fluke play like that. Like I said, as the season goes on, you're going to win some on that. You're going to lose some on that. But I thought about the bettors last night that lost on Alec Boehm sliding home and not touching the plate. Bad calls. We see it all the time in sports. That was one of the more egregious bad calls that I have seen in quite some time. If you bet that game last night, you might have gotten a little bit of a bad beat there. But if you're going to bet, make sure you do so with DraftKings Sportsbook. Before we get out of here, I do want to give a shout-out to a friend of the show. My buddy Mike Donahue hit me up and let me know of a young man, 32 years old, passed away suddenly. A big sports fan and lived in the Baltimore area, as a matter of fact. You guys know I got Baltimore ties. I've mentioned it enough on the show. And it turns out Paul Overton is this young man's name, 32 years old, passed away unexpectedly. And I just want to tip my cap to him and his friends and family that watch the show. And he's a friend of the show. And I found out recently that we both had a big love of cannoli. Who doesn't love nice cannoli? Paul, probably like me, half Italian. Overton's last name. I got the Italian last name, but the other half's Polish for me. But Paul, and your family and friends, I appreciate you guys following the show. And I also appreciate Paul's love for B.J. Surhoff. Now, Phillies fans might remember him playing for the Braves, but he was an all-star with the Orioles. Actually made an all-star team with the Baltimore Orioles. And I always really appreciated B.J. Surhoff. He was a catcher, turned himself into an outfielder. And I just want to extend my condolences to the Overton family. Just heartfelt condolences to all of you, friends and family of Paul Overton. I appreciate my buddy Mikey letting me know what happened. So thoughts and prayers with the Overton family. And I'm sure the cannolis up there in the sky are pretty damn good. Not for nothing. But thank you to everyone for watching the show today. My thanks to Jack McCaffery, who joined the show. Appreciate you guys. I'll be back with you guys on Tuesday. And I do want to throw this question out. Feel free to hit me up throughout the day. I'm going away this weekend, and I want to see what I should do here. I'm leaning towards if I can get if I can get an internet connection. I'm hoping that I can. And if I do, and if I can, I'm hoping I can do a show for you on Monday. I wasn't sure if I wanted to take a week from today off and just enjoy a little quick weekend getaway with my wife and some other couples. We're going up to the Poconos. And my thought was I was going to do the show for you Monday if I can get an internet connection from my kayak because I love fishing. And I was thinking about sitting on my kayak, setting up my camera on the kayak, and